Good evening. I call the regular meeting of the Ames City Council for Tuesday, July 23rd to order. Welcome, everybody. And we're going to get right into consent agenda. Does anyone wish to pull any item this evening?
I'd like to pull item 8, please.
All right, item 8. Anything else? Hearing none, I entertain a motion to approve consent, less item number 8.
Second.
Thank you. Roll call.
Aye.
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 Item 8, there was just a math difference, so Brian, if you...
Yeah, just two clarifications. One, in the agenda, it should indicate it's a one-year amount of $69,800 rather than what's indicated in the agenda. And then alternative 1 says $68,800. Again, that should indicate $69,800.
Thank you. Answer your question. All right, is there a motion on reauthorizing the enterprise agreement with Environmental Systems Research Institute of Redlands, California for a term of 3 years at a rate of $69,800 per
So
year?
moved.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Roll call.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. We'll move on to public forum. This is time we set aside for the public to address city council on items that are not listed on the agenda. Richard, I see that you're interested in addressing council.
I hope I can do it in 3 minutes. You know, at the recent issue City Side, in the front edition of it, there was a thing about the National Night Out, you know, about the schools and everything. And it's like I tried to donate some money to the school board that said, please let us be naked. And it's like for $500, I can't give away my money. I kind of figure it's like what I want to be able to do is have you guys, I mean, what I wanted them to do was have a thing saying, get everybody to love you, have everybody love me, and have everybody love everybody else. You know, that was the assignment I wanted to give to the school board. And you know, to love me, people don't give a damn for me. You know, they really don't. And it's like I was going around asking people to spend the day with people sunrise to sunset. I could get to know them. They could get to know me. We could build the world a better place one day at a time. And I kind of figure it's like I could maybe try to give away money to people that work at the city government to give to the school people, you know, and have them spend the day with people. So, I know it's like I spend a day with people. I don't think I could do it in a long time. I know a couple of college that spent a day with each other. They came up to me halfway through the day. But Richard, how should we spend the day together to make this tomorrow? And I didn't know quite exactly what to say to them, but I gave them what I thought was a pretty good answer off the top of my head.
Richard, did you get to the items of city business? Anybody else want to address the council tonight? Can you introduce yourself and you can start?
My name is Caitlin Leon, and I wanted to take the opportunity to come down to share some of my thoughts as I try and understand some recent developments related to the Bakers subdivision. So it's my understanding that plans are being made to reconsider the energy source for heating and cooling now that geothermal has been deemed too costly. I've come to share how disappointed I was to see that there was an email recently shared with the mayor and city council from the Chamber of Commerce, business development manager, relating to suggesting scrapping plans for geothermal in the subdivision, and even going so far as to suggest natural gas is the next step toward climate action goals for the city. I also want to address a few other items from this correspondence. First, the referencing of geothermal systems as having a 15-year life expectancy. according to the Department of Energy, geothermal systems and the pumps have a 20-plus year life expectancy for the pump itself and a 25 to 50-year life expectancy for the underground infrastructure. So I'm not sure. I tried to find the staff memo that stated that that was the case, that it was a 15-year life expectancy, but I couldn't find that. So I just wanted to share that information. Second, none of this information shared with the mayor and council in this email is new or substantial enough for pause. If the fact that a heating and cooling system may break down over time outside of the warranty of the system, then it kind of defeats the purpose altogether. If that's kind of what we're going off of, is that, there might be some things that come up outside of that warranty of 10 or 20 years, it kind of defeats the whole purpose of even having any heating and cooling systems, because everything breaks down usually outside of that warranty. Something that has been cited time and time again as cause for concern is the potential increased cost of geothermal and the cost upkeep may have on the lower income residents within the subdivision. And I wanted to remind council that climate change is predominantly fueled by higher income persons, and then it disproportionately and negatively impacts lower income persons. Ames has an opportunity right now to be able to kind of right some of those societal wrongs and allowing lower income individuals in this division to have access to something that is not only going to lower their monthly expenses related to heating and cooling, but also giving them access to something that is usually too expensive for them to have access to. I know we were really excited about this project because it's going to be kind of an example for the community of what it will look like, because my understanding is that some of the habitat for humanity homes are going to have the geothermal, and that's already in the works. We would like to see that also expanded to this subdivision. The Baker subdivision adopting geothermal or alternatives to natural gas is paramount. It is the only step aligned with our CAP goals. I understand time is of the essence and reworking an RFP is not feasible. If changes are to be made regarding the original RFP with the included geothermal requirement, I do encourage staff and council to consult a reputable HVAC contractor with experience with the geothermal systems and to ask questions that are specific to this project. Such a consultation, I feel, would populate better results than anonymous feedback sessions ever could, which is, I believe, what some of that information in the email was kind of spurred from. I think having council or having the city able to actually have a communication related specifically to this project would be really important before any other changes were made with it. Air source heat pumps would also be considered as a viable option and the only alternative to geothermal if we are not to do ground source heat pumps. At a time when many cities across the U.S. are requiring all new developments to use alternatives to natural gas, Ames can do so little as to do right by this one. On a somewhat related note, for Ames to reach its climate goals and to better address city matters, such as the issues that have arisen related to geothermal and the Baker subdivision, we need the sustainability coordinator position to be filled. Until it's filled, there appears to be no robust progress monitoring or accountability on climate-related actions by the city government. We've already been slow to the progress promised, and I do urge you to keep the filling of this position at the highest of priorities. Thank you.
Thank you. And just for information, our sustainability coordinator started on Monday. Anybody else? All right, move on to item number 13, resolution approving a report of rapid needs purchase or repair on the 161 kV electric transmission line, the amount of $625,500. Mr. Brown.
Good evening. So just a real quick recap. On May 21st, we had, actually not calling it a tornado, but we had high winds, very high winds that impacted us. It impacted our 161 kV line that goes from Ames down to 8 Canadians, the electrical system. Following that, then we went out on what's called a rapid needs. It's a level within our purchasing policy that allows us to take immediate action and get things in place, and then come back to council, explain what was done, how it was spent, and things like that. This council action form is intended then to meet that requirement through our purchasing policy. We had contracts or purchase orders or change orders with 7 different entities that provided anything from labor to put the lines up, to provide the work on the fiber optic line, which is what we need. But materials like poles and bolts and things like that. And then we had an engineering group that helped us out dramatically. I want to touch a little bit on that because add a little bit of color to the council action, because all we really say is we provided engineering services on the poles for about $45,000. So I thought I'd put a little bit of color into that. What DGR had done for us is they were actually an extension of staff. So yes, they were out engineering the poles. If you look at the design of the line, they're called laminated engineered poles. And first thing we found right off the bat is to replace those poles that are specially made for each individual location. DGR was able to say, well, with these certain kind of round poles, we can replace all but one with round poles, and we can cut the construction time about half. The other great news is the cost of the round poles versus the laminated wood poles saved us about $100,000. So their work in redesigning with round poles, and the last one that needed an engineered wood pole, they were able to work out a temporary situation that met the DOT requirements, so they helped us there. We also had them basically be on-site inspectors, management, so that as the line was being reconstructed, we used them as kind of eyes on the ground to make sure things were done properly and that we got that thing back in. They basically, in the materials, in addition to the poles, they went through not only our inventory, but what could be gleaned from the marketplace to get that stuff in as quickly as possible. So they kind of served as our purchasing agent, if you will, trying to find poles and equipment and things like that, that they have much broader fingers into the marketplace than we do. We're able to get those pieces easier. Let's see if I missed anything else. I think the key is I wanted to add more color to that because there were some questions like, boy, $45,000 to engineer a few poles seems like a huge sum. There was so much they did behind the scenes, and I'll take it. It was our responsibility to put that data into the council action form. But I wanted to make sure the council was aware that I believe we got our money's worth with our contract with DGR. With that said, are there any questions as to how that project's going? I will say the line is back in service. I think it was last week, late last week. So we're ready for the summer, and that's one of the two major critical lines in feeding the city in extreme outlook.
I have a question. So this is the total repair costs are $625,000, and this is coming out of the electric fund available balance. Is that correct?
So right now what we're doing is it's coming out of our balance initially. We are in talks with FEMA because this was happened during a storm, and FEMA's already recognized this. A federal declaration has been made. FEMA's an interesting organization. I've been on the phone on hold for several hours, for several days, trying to reach the right people. We're continuing to work on that, and it's our hope and belief that we will actually get some support from FEMA in the end.
If we don't, the report isn't saying about the balance. Or should we be concerned about the fund balance if we take $600,000 out of it?
$600,000 is $600,000. We have with council support with URAP, we have a decent fund balance. We have several tens of millions of dollars in our fund balance. That's not to say that we are overlooking this at all. We first and foremost like to get reimbursed from FEMA, but it's not going to cash grab the utility, if that's the question.
Yep. I just want to make sure. This is an important line, and just real briefly, I know that in some instances we're moving towards burying lines to make them more resilient in the event of storms. Is that something that's even theoretically possible with a line like this, or is there something special about that? I don't want to spend a lot of time on it, but I was just curious if prospectively, every time we have a major storm, we're dropping $500,000. At some point, do we look at burying them?
Yeah, valid question. So it is more cost effective to bury what we call our distribution lines, right? So the lines that feed the homes. As you get higher and higher in voltages, you can imagine the wires need to be bigger and bigger to handle the load. They have what are called solid dielectrics capable of being buried. The cost of that would be millions per mile. So that would probably be several years worth of CIP budgets to bury that 20 some mile section of line.
So
It's
at least
not
at this
cost
point, that's not even a cost-effective option for some of that. Okay, that's all I need to know.
That's a good point though, too, though. I think just the dollar amount of a repair like this is, and the frequency in which they happen is one of many of the costs of continued climate change too. So I mean, I think that's a good thing to remember is that this is what we're trying to mitigate by climate action plan moves. So I think it's a good thing for people to keep in mind.
Any other questions? Hearing none, I entertain a motion on resolution approving the purchase for repairs of 161 kV electric transmission line in the amount of $625,504.86.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Roll call.
Aye.
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 Thank you, Don. Appreciate it. All right, we'll move on. Item number 14, resolution approving additional one FTE to human.
Evening.
Good evening.
Since 2020, we have seen a significant increase in recruitment activity in our organization. We've tried a number of things to manage the increased workload, including process improvement, utilizing resources from other departments, and working with contracted resources. At this point, we believe that the volume of recruitments is here to stay, and it is time to add staff to help us manage the workload and provide a more sustainable approach to carrying out human resources services. We believe we'll be able to finance this position in the current year using vacancy savings. It would be our plan to add to next year's budget for continued support. Any questions about the position or the need for it?
Questions? All right. Entertain a motion and resolution approving addition of 1.0 E to Human Resources Department.
So moved.
Thank you. Roll call.
Aye.
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 Thank you, Bethany.
Thank you.
Right, move on to item number 15. Resolution authorizing immediate towing of legally parked vehicles on Saturday, August 24th. Keith.
Good evening. As you know, in July of 2022, you authorized a new ordinance to allow for immediate towing of vehicles parked illegally when authorized by city council resolution in a specified area for specified types of illegal parking and a specified date. And so we're asking again this year, as we've done the last 2 years, to authorize this for Saturday, August 24th, 2024. This is the Saturday before classes begin at Iowa State University. In the past, as you're aware, we've had some large parties, increased alcohol usage, and other high-risk behaviors and activities surrounding this day. We have continued to work to sort of rebrand this particular weekend and more positive things. But one of those tools that has been effective for us is the immediate towing of illegally parked vehicles. The past 2 years, we've only had to tow about 30 each year. And what we noticed in the very first year is there were very few parked vehicles, which made it easier for us to get around and for other emergency vehicles. Some of the streets in the area that we're talking about are residential, not very narrow, certainly can't support parking on both sides to get a large fire truck ambulance through. In fact, in the past, we've had trouble just getting one part for explored some narrow streets. But since we've done this, the problem has almost disappeared. Another added benefit, when there were vehicles parked parked on both sides of the streets illegally. It sort of provided a little bit of cover for some of those parties, and that has gone away, and so that has helped us as well. So we're asking to use this tool on August 24th.
Questions?
I'm going to channel my inner Rachel. So she has been pretty consistent in asking about just the process for people to get to their cars once they're impounded. Could you just walk us through that, just because I know that that would be something we would bring up.
If a vehicle was towed, it would go to our contract service. The fee is now about $100 to get that out of the impound lot, and they do have to go there to get the vehicle out of impound, and so they would pay that fee and go back, and they are open. So if they got towed on Saturday, they would be able to go on Saturday and get the vehicle back. Actually, what you don't leave it there, additional fee for every day that it stays in storage. It's not a lot.
Yeah, thanks.
Other question? Go ahead, Nina.
Anecdotally, perhaps, do we know how many of those are ISU student vehicles? I know we've had some discussion about it. A lot of people actually come from out of town for 801 day. Do we have any way of knowing how many are ISU?
So we don't. We haven't looked into that. There's the potential we could attempt. Just the registration itself wouldn't really give us that information because students come from all over the place anyway. So a vehicle that had a registration that was from out of town wouldn't really tell us what we need to know. So it'd be kind of difficult to do that kind of cross check. Our sense is mostly these are people from out of town, though, just anecdotally from our discussions, which is what we're trying to cut down on, partially. Partially, this is to cut down on people coming in from out of town who have no ties to this community, don't care what happens. And on the other side of it, too, is to make sure that emergency vehicles can get through, especially some of those more narrow streets.
Thank you.
Keith, last year we had a resident come after 8:00, after this posting of the signs, for no parking. And, you can just highlight some of the things that we do, the staff does, to try and reach out. We really don't want to tow people's cars.
You absolutely don't want to have to tell anybody if we don't have to.
And we really want people to enjoy coming back to Ames. And it's not that we're against parties, it's just more or less it's, property and public safety. Maybe just talk about for a second, what are some of the things, highlight some of the things that are done by both ISU and the City of Ames, because I think it's really try and make it a welcoming opportunity, not trying to be stick with more of a carrot.
So we, in the fall, after August 1st, when the leases switch out, we do a door-to-door program. We actually go door-to-door in those neighborhoods, talk to people about what's allowed, what's not allowed, as part of that conversation, certainly nuisance parties and so that happens. We've asked Iowa State in the past to send that information out when they are welcoming new students. They've been good about doing that for us. The signs that we put up, you can't miss. They are a very loud color of lime green. You really can't miss them, and I think that's part of the reason we've been so successful. Probably more than anything else we've done is those giant lime green signs that we put up on all of those signposts in the area that we're talking about. We also utilize some of the mobile signs that you generally see in construction zones if they're available, and this year might not because we have other construction going on. But we do a lot of things along with our social media platforms. We broadcast this information. And our goal is not have to tell anybody if we don't have to. But I think we're doing everything we can to get that word out.
And I think we also read that Iowa State sends out a mass email also, is that correct?
Yes. So they send that out at the beginning of the school year to all their folks. So they put some of that information in the party, which we haven't got to yet in the towing part.
Any other questions? Yes, go ahead.
So immediate towing area on the map, it includes the intermodal facility. Is that going to be patrolled by you guys to see if there's anyone that's not supposed to be parking there, or will it still be university parking?
Still be university, so we do law enforcement for the intermodal area. ISU does parking.
Okay. So, and then do you know if it would still be an immediate tow in the intermodal facility?
We've never towed anything from the intermodal.
Okay. Thank you.
Most of what we're doing is the street
Mhm.
parking.
All right. There's no further questions. I entertain a motion on resolution authorizing immediate towing of illegally parked vehicles on Saturday, August 24th, 2024.
So moved.
Second.
You roll call?
Aye.
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 Thank you. Item 16, enhanced penalties for nuisance party.
I won't repeat any of the stuff that applies to this, that applied to the immediate towing, but same reasoning. So we're requesting approval to enhance penalties for nuisance party violations beginning at 5 p.m. on the Friday, which is August 23rd, ending at 4 a.m. on the Sunday, which is August 25th. And these dates obviously correspond with like the welcome weekend. For the same reasons, the large parties, it's not just parties, it's large parties, 500, 600 people. What we've seen for the past couple of years is a party of 200 or 300 will merge with the house next door and end up quickly with hundreds and hundreds. And some real dangerous behaviors that go on. So this is just one tool that we have in our toolbox to deal with the incidents when we have gone out, we've already talked to people, we've already warned them, and we have to go back. And this gives us a potential way to hopefully cut down on that on the front side. This would increase the penalties. So normally a nuisance party violation, $100 for first violation, $200 for the second, subsequent. This would raise those to $650 for the first, $855 for a second and subsequent. Which would be a little bit hard to get a subsequent, but it is possible. The first year that we utilized this tool, I think we wrote 3. Last year, I think we wrote 5. So we are not writing a lot of these, which is kind of the goal. The thing that we don't have to utilize this tool very often, but it's important, I think, that we have these tools for those parties and people that aren't getting the message that their parties got control and some potentially very risky things happening.
Questions?
I just had one, and you kind of answered it in how the first and second violation work. It goes with the person or the property?
So it goes with the person.
And what if they got one last year?
So we generally do that on a year-to-year basis.
Okay.
So if you received a nuisance party violation in August last year and it's past a year, especially if it's at a different location, it will probably count as the first again.
Okay.
But sometimes throughout a year, we may visit the same person twice at the same address, and then.
So since a year has passed, even if it were the same person at the same address, like they just got the first violation again.
I think if it's at the same address, it would be a second violation.
Okay.
That's usually not the case.
Okay.
And to be clear, when we write a nuisance party violation, so obviously the person gets a ticket, we also notify the property owner when that happens, because we want to make sure they're part of the solution where we have repeat customers, they're doing something on their end to say, listen, you're probably violating the law. We're there for a nuisance party violation, probably a violation of this as well. And at some point, for repeated violations, we can cite the property owner. It's only happened a few times that I remember. Usually one is enough to convince people you should like 600 of the closest friends.
Yeah. Okay. No, that answers my question. Thank you.
I think I heard last year that you actually had some students that contacted you that you just share that story. But I think it's working in terms of what you're trying to accomplish in terms of the education and the engagement of the renters.
It happens every year, actually. we would get a call from a person that said, my party's got it in control. I invited, 50 people, and they all invited 2 or 3 more people who I didn't invite, and pretty soon they've got 300-400 people there. They're uncomfortable, see that things aren't working out like they were hoping, and so they will call us and ask for some help, and we will. We'll go out, we'll help them manage that number, ask people to leave on their behalf. Most cases, we don't cite them that if they call us for help. I won't say that's 100%. There are sometimes we show up and things that are occurring warrant that ticket anyway, even though they may call. But in most of those cases, we help them reduce that number. We don't cite them. Of course, we give them stern warning. If we come back, they'll get.
Thank you. All right. If no further questions, entertain a motion resolution authorizing enhanced penalties for nuisance party violations beginning at 5 p.m. Friday, August 23rd, and ending at 4 a.m. on Sunday, August 25th, 2024.
So moved.
Roll call.
Aye.
Thank you.
He's been casual tonight. It's okay.
All right, move on to item number 17, Baker Subdivision Second Amendment to Restricted Covenants for affordable housing. Vanessa.
Good evening, Council. Thank you for the opportunity to bring some information to you regarding conversation with Habitat for Humanity that's in the best interest of both the city and Habitat. As we have been communicating, I do want to make one clarification, and a letter from Habitat was left out of your packet, and so I have passed that on to you tonight. The goal is for Habitat to meet their needs and for the city to meet their needs, especially for affordable housing and a long-term opportunity. So at the Baker subdivision, we felt it was best that if we created a second amendment to the restricted covenant to protect ourselves so that we can have more than one first-time home buyer and increase our years of affordability. So that would go with the land and that would be recorded. And so when people go to when they sell the property or whatever, there would be a big notice on that mortgage that they would need to come to the city and work with us about resale or recapture provisions to ensure a long-term affordability at the Baker subdivision. So that was a major request to approve that restriction, that covenant, and also to allow some flexibility. We're also asking that the housing coordinator be given the authority to approve future amendments, assignments that Habitat may need to further advance their projects. Right now, that would have to come to council, and so for their urgency, and we will be working with legal. Any of those requests might come in, so that continues to protect both the interest of Habitat and the city.
Thank you. Questions?
So what we received is for lots 6, 7, and 8, but is this what
This would cover all of the lots.
Okay, but
Yes, all of the affordable lots is covered under this amendment. So it will be in addition to the Habitat lots.
Any other questions? All right. Is there a motion on resolution approving amendment to restricted covenants for affordable housing at the Baker subdivision?
Is there, do you have,
Is there serious?
Oh, sure. Yeah. Okay. Put a pin in that for a second. Mark, you want to, since we're down a few council members tonight, there was a question about how this proceeds in terms of, because Tim has a conflict of interest and will not be, he'll be abstaining. And we can, per Iowa code, we can take action on this tonight, but it'd be good for Mark just to go ahead.
Yeah. So under the Iowa code, if
it requires a resolution, which this would be, requires a majority vote of the full council. However, in a situation where a council member, I should say of the full council, even if some of them, however, if a member of the council recuses themselves, then the Iowa law says that you base the count on the number of members who are not recusing themselves. So in other words, we just pretend like it's a 5-member council instead of a 6-member council for purposes of votes, which means that we, as it takes 3 votes then to pass something, that would be a majority to pass a resolution.
Well, you're saying, presuming that we have a 4-member council, right? You said 5.
Oh, I'm sorry, 4-member. It's a 4-member, but we're presuming it's a 5-member council because you have to have a vote of a majority of the full council. But what's considered the full council is a 5-member. Despite the number here tonight, it's considered a 5-member. So it would, 3 would be a majority.
All right. Is there a motion or resolution to approve the second amendment to covenants for affordable housing for the acre subdivision regarding affordability periods?
Mhm.
Thank you.
Aye.
Aye.
Abstain conflict.
Thank you. And is there a motion or resolution authorizing the housing coordinator to assignment of mortgages requested from Habitat for Humanity of Central Iowa to First National Bank?
So moved.
Roll call.
Aye.
Abstain conflict.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mark. All right, move on to item number 2, hearing on FY 2022-2023 Story County Edge of Field project. Mr. Dunn.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. The council action form includes the bid tab, and you can see that we had just a single bid that was received on this invitation, and it did significantly exceed the engineer's estimate. So what we are requesting tonight is that you receive the report of bids and delay any action. What we want to do is have continued conversations with the other funding partners that are a part of this project with us. Just as a note, the funding on the construction phase, 75% of that is paid by the Iowa Department of Ag and Land Stewardship. And then the local match, the 25%, split evenly between the city and Story County Conservation. So initial conversations we had, IDOL was leaning towards wanting to move ahead and make the award, but we want to have conversations with them to make sure we understand the reasons and rationale for wanting to do that. The 2080 agreement we have with the funding partners does designate the city as the fiscal agent. So ultimately, it is our decision as to whether we move ahead with awarding or not. But again, keeping in mind that IDOLS is funding a lion's share of the project, we certainly want to take that desires into account.
Thank you. Questions?
Is there any kind of timing that in order to receive the state funding that this work needs to be completed in?
No, there's not. We're under design right now with the next batch of these. And that's one of the things that I've asked the other partners to consider is an option where we just reject all of these bids, roll this work into the project for the next year, make it a bigger contract. So that's kind of the scenario that we want to get feedback from the funders. There's no agreement between us and IDOLS that would affect that funding agreement. I obviously don't know about the state funding mechanism, whether they've got a use it or lose it type provision in their budget. So again, I just need to process.
And just somebody pay attention to just from the standpoint that that money is tied to a certain budget cycle as well, and so I just want to make sure we're not risking losing that. And then the final question I had: have we done one of these before? I thought we had done one of these.
We have, this is the second year of it. And like I said, we're on design right now with it.
So the reason I ask that is that where we've done that in the past, we have some sense of the cost for this. So is that a factor is in your recommendation tonight that we've seen this before? And this is $100,000 more than the estimate.
Yeah, whenever you get a discrepancy like this, your question is always, was it a bad estimate or was it non-competitive? In this case, the estimate was consistent with the pricing that we had a year ago. So there's something other than the estimate in play here. We do know from talking to suppliers on the project that they were, they were speaking 3 different potential bidders, ultimately only had 1.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks.
On that previous, that's a good question. On the first round, did you have more than one bidder?
I believe we only had 1 bidder then as well, but it was not this bidder. It was a different contractor.
And I know said 75% of the construction, not the total project cost, correct?
Right. The design is split equally between the 3 parties, so each of us is paying a third of the design cost, and then IDOLS is paying a much larger share of construction.
Any other questions? All right, declare the public hearing on the fiscal year 2022-2023 Story County Edge of Field project to be open. Is there anyone who wants to address council on this project? Seeing none, we'll declare the public hearing to be closed and entertain a motion accepting reported bids and delaying award until August 13th, 2024 city council meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed or abstaining? Motion carried. On item number 19, hearing on the 2024-2025 shared use path maintenance program. And for the public hearing on this item to be open, is there anyone who wants to address council on this? Seeing none, declare the public hearing to be closed. Any questions for staff on this item? Entertain motion accepting reported bids.
So moved.
Thank you. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed or abstaining? Carried. Entertain motion resolution approving final plan specifications and awarding a contract to Mid-Iowa Enterprises LLC of Troy City, Iowa, in the amount of $75,340.
So moved.
Thank you. Roll call.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Move on to item number 20, hearing on 302 and 212 Sondrel Avenue. We have a public hearing on vacation of a 10-foot strip of right-of-way adjacent to this property to be open. Is there anyone who wants to address council on this topic? Seeing none, hearing none, declare the public hearing to be closed. Entertain motion on resolution approving the vacation of the 10-foot strip of right-of-way adjacent to 302 and 12 Sondrel Avenue.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Roll call.
Aye.
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 And entertain motion on resolution approving the conveyance of vacated 10-foot strip of right-of-way adjacent to 302 and 212 Sondrel Avenue to 302 Sondrel LLC for a sum of $10,177.20 as determined by the city's standard formula.
Second.
Roll call.
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Move on to item number 21, first reading and ordinance updating enforcement provisions of Chapter 5B, Chapter 22A of the Ames Municipal Code. Any questions for staff on this particular item? Hearing none, I'll declare open up public input on this first reading of the ordinance updating these enforcement provisions. Is there anyone who wants to address council? Seeing none, close public input. Entertain motion on first reading of ordinance updating enforcement provisions to Chapter 5 and Chapter 22A of Ames Municipal Code. code.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Roll call.
Aye.
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 Thank you. We move on to chapter 28, electric rate modifications. Council staff has asked that we pull the motion to amend. Amendment was to implement the date by which this would go into effect. And staff indicates that they need a little more time, and that will come back actually at the third reading. So entertain a motion on second reading of ordinance to change electric rates to adopt revenue neutral rate adjustments to better align with cost of service study recommendations, to add optional time of use rates, and to adjust the large customer deductible option bill credits.
Second.
Roll call.
Aye.
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 We'll move on to disposition of communications to council. There we have 7 of them tonight. First is a email from Margaret Eklund and Donald P. Maurer regarding a request to vacate annexation agreement. Consultation with staff. It's our suggestion that we request a memo from staff on this particular item.
Is there any direction on this? Well, this is was set in a motion a couple of years ago. So if the council was to do nothing, then we would continue with the previous direction that we received from the council, which was to proceed with the annexation. We have a pre-annexation agreement with this property, the adjacent property, resulting from an action a number of years ago where they requested city water service. If the council would like to learn more about their specific concerns and potentially consider delaying that annexation, then it would be appropriate to memo and we can provide you some more information. This is, I think, is a complicated one. I don't feel like I know as much about this. I'm curious if council have had a chance to look into this anymore.
If it was a direction from council already, I guess of a memo. I would move for
Second.
Those in favor of the motion say aye.
memo.
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Nay.
Motion carried. Next is a request for a CODA grant extension from Cameron Gray, founder of the Buxton Initiative.
We'll put this on a future agenda.
Those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Next is a email from Doug Pepe regarding increased July 4th fireworks activity. Fireworks are illegal in the city
Yeah.
and they're loud. We regret the fact that it's disruptive to him.
I would move maybe that we respond and thank him for reaching out and express our sympathies.
Second. There's aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carried. Next is a memo from Mike Frisk, Resource Recovery Plant Waste Acceptance Policy. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, I would move that we reach out and let him know that all of that is going to be under review here and we can consider it.
Part of the overall evaluation.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yep.
Is there anything immediate that
I think he has a
Oh.
question about the difference between if he has an account at the resource recovery plant, if he takes something like from his personal his rental properties, and there seems to be maybe some inconsistency in how it's placed. So I don't know if maybe staff can respond to him.
Yeah, I think- should we just have staff review whether further response is needed?
I mean,
I
I
don't know
think
the
so,
answer to
because
that
it seems
question.
like there's inconsistent
Right.
practices that he's experiencing at least. So.
Is that true generally for the rental side?
I don't know. He just says he has a business account there. So I would assume he'd be able to take a couple of things there, but
I'm sure if the council would like, we can have staff from resource recovery explain what the policies are and
I would move that we have some, staff respond to Mike.
Second.
Okay, those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Next is an email from Dylan Klein regarding Baker subdivision geothermal cost analysis follow-up. Presume that basically is for information only.
Mm-hmm.
Next is a email from Marlene Pancook regarding hazardous sidewalk policy.
Aren't we already looking? Yeah. Sorry, what were you saying?
No, you go for it. I was just gonna move to respond and tell him thanks for his input.
Yeah, and then in talking with staff, you've already adopted some new standards as well as some kind of potential assistance for low income individuals who know what's going on. And so, all right, those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carried. And this last one from Doug Pepe regarding development process for Farmer Gas Station at South Franklin Avenue and Lincoln Way. I suggest that staff can respond to him regarding that too. Our motion.
So moved.
Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. All right, we'll move on to report of governing body, Discover Ames. Any reports tonight?
So there will be a downtown welcome this year. With our joint project with Discover Ames and Main Street. Downtown Ames will be responsible for the staffing. This will be right next to Sheldon Munn. And so they're excited about the opportunity to have some Ames branded merchandise there, as well as provide visitor information. So it's coming soon.
Anything else?
There is a new Ames Main Street hire. Travis Tolliver is their new person.
AEDC, any report? Army?
Nothing.
All right. Story County Emergency Management Agency.
I attended that.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, it was interesting. I didn't have a sense of the number of properties that were damaged in that tornado. There were 70 properties that were damaged, and much of the meeting was discussing the remedial steps that were taken. So you really only get a sense of what these folks are doing when it's crisis time, and then you really appreciate them. So it was pretty interesting, but that was the main part of the meeting.
I also mentioned that I think that was also discussed, it wasn't at the meeting, but email that there's mayors interested in hearing about some resources that they're going to plant as well too. So they're going to try and get a meeting arranged where we can update our city in terms of what's going on. It could affect commute. Transit. No?
We didn't meet since last.
All right, very good. Council comments. Emily, good to see you in person. We'll let you start tonight.
I don't think I have anything right now. I have to present something to the transit board for, they want to do something for the student government expo, but I think that's probably a separate thing. So, I think that would be all that I have. I don't have anything since the last meeting.
What is the student government?
That's a good question. I think we're just kind of advertising what we do and maybe demonstrating that more people would get involved. I have to make a game about activities in the city of Ames, so there might be collaboration or questions from you guys later on in September, but right now I'm still figuring that out, so.
Thank you. Comment?
Well, there's Rummage Rampage coming up. That's this weekend. You can drop stuff off on Friday from noon to 6, and then drop off and sales the rest of the weekend through Friday, actually the 2nd of August, and then it's half price next Saturday. But I do encourage people to take things there if you have gently used or still good items, not clothing, but furniture and other household goods. And then if people are needing stuff to check out, I love the idea of reusing things, saving them from the landfill, and then donating the money to a bunch of good causes that help out the event. So.
Are you still taking list pets as well too, still or not?
Oh, that's true. There is the what is it called? Rehoming our pets responsibly, roar, and aquariums. So they do animals and aquarium pets. Yeah, that's a good cause as well.
Yeah, so they don't let their animals or their pets out in the wild essentially. When
Yes.
they leave, so.
Absolutely, yeah.
All right, very good. Nita?
Just a reminder about National Night Out. Be Tuesday, August 6th, 5:30 to 8:30 at Ames Middle School. Believe I heard something like 100 pair of shoes. They can use volunteers to assist with that, as well as folks are welcome to come and make that a stop as they're thinking about getting their children back to school.
What was the date again?
Tuesday, August 6th.
All right. You?
Nothing for me?
I wanted to give a shout out to the organizers of the Roosevelt event. So on Sunday nights, there's a great concert and just community gathering. I had a chance to go to that on Sunday night. Really, really fun. So 7 o'clock on Sunday nights at the Roosevelt Park. That's all I have.
All right. With that, I entertain a motion to adjourn.
Adjourn.
Second.
Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, we are adjourned. Thank you.